So tonight we're going to talk about conflict. It's an amazing thing, conflict. When you think of conflict, you think of two things typically, fight or flight, right? You don't think about conflict usually as creative. You don't usually think about conflict as the highest invitation to your soul, but it is. Every time we meet conflict, we have this divine chance and this divine choice to meet it in a new way. Think about how things are created, right? Things are created out of conflict, out of tension. That's how life begins. From the time that, the egg is fertilized and the sperm is swimming up, trying to be the one sperm, right? To fertilize the egg. And the embryo growing, resisting space, right? The birth, coming out, everything. You could think of that as tension, as a creative tension. And in that creative tension is conflict. And in conflict is creative ability. Now, I'll bet you all in the last 3 months have had one chance at least to have a little bit of go around with some conflict. Am I right? We see this in the stories of the great teachers too. Think about Jesus and the Pharisees, right? They are always in conflict with him. The prophet Muhammad, all the tension as he was trying to get the nomadic peoples to come under, a monotheistic belief. Buddha became Buddha because he saw conflict, right? If you've ever read the Ramayana, the Mahabharata with Krishna, it's all about conflict. Conflict out here, conflict in here. And what do we do? What do we normally find in people? They are conflict avoidant. They run from conflict. Unless, of course, they have to stand, and then they get angry, right? And then it's a fight, the conflict. But there's a middle way in conflict. There's a middle way, but, it requires us to get out of our human self. It really does. And when conflict arises, this is a deep moment that we can be the observer, a compassionate observer of what we're going through and the other person or whatever the situation is. It's an amazing opportunity to sit with our own spirituality, our own divinity, and say, today I'm going to choose something a little different. So the one thing in conflict is nobody's wrong and nobody's right. If you take the stance that nobody's wrong and nobody's right, that's a very different place where you can enter into the creativeness. Because typically what happens, you're wrong, I'm right. Depending on who's pointing the finger. You're wrong, I'm right. How's that going to work out? Is that going to be a win-win? No, somebody's going to lose from that. Do we need to lose? We don't need to lose. The opportunity is, it's an invitation to take the experience and say, what have I learned from this? But it's a really high road that we need to stand on in order to see the middle way of conflict. Typically, I'm a certified mediator. And one of the things that I have found in my years of mediation is this: there's always a backstory. People bring their backstories to the table. We see that in marriages, we see that in neighbors, we see that in friends, we see that at work, right? There's always a backstory. It's never really ever 100% about the present moment. So if you think back along maybe some of your conflicts, right, you'll notice that. And so what you're doing is you're taking that framework from the past and you're popping it over the top of a current conflict. And you say, and I am hurt, or this is the way it is because. And it doesn't allow any movement for conversation. It doesn't allow any movement to heal when we take our backstories and put them over as current frameworks. But how do we stop that? How do we get away from that? Anybody know? Yeah, when you are angry, how in the moment are you? Right? Right? It is an invitation to take a very big deep breath and go, okay, number one. And I can't always do this, but I go, if I believe that I truly am the divine, I'm just going to take a big old divine breath, and I'm just going to see what's going to happen. Because, see, here's the other thing in conflict. We have this urgent need to resolve it quickly to make the pain go away. So we become fix-it machines, right? And we fix. We're enablers, or we fix it, or we do whatever it takes to make the pain go away. But I'm telling you, the pain is productive. The pain is productive. I just said this, I think, last Sunday. We know how a pearl is made, right? From the irritation of the sand. Why, like Rumi says, why deny the irritation when the outcome is so beautiful? So if you're thinking about it, you're rubbing off the things you don't need. You're becoming very, very clear, very, very precious in the way that you present with others and with yourself. But it doesn't feel real easy when you're in the middle of conflict, because here's the thing. Whoever or whatever you're in conflict with suddenly becomes Goliath, right? And you're standing there and you're like, well, David, that was a real good story. I don't think I can do it, right? I don't think I can be David. I don't think I can bring Goliath down. But the thing of it is that, when you're looking at conflict, it's not about bringing Goliath down. It's about understanding who Goliath is. Okay? When Goliath is on the horizon and looming that big, if it's a situation, then it's calling for your attention. All right? There's something that, and you will get the situation over and over. Maybe in a little bit different forms, but if you are dealing with a certain situation, it's calling for your attention. So ask the situation itself. What is happening, and why does this keep happening? What needs my attention here? What needs my attention? If it's a person, there's only one stone that brings that Goliath down, and that's love and compassion. And that is probably the hardest thing to do when you are in conflict with someone, is not to have a story about the situation or about them. If they're in conflict, they are spinning. One of you needs to stand still. Let them spin. They will stop at some point, right? And will it still be the same between you? Maybe, maybe not. But you don't need to judge that, because we don't know what's really meant to happen in these situations. They can be invitations for growth for people and ourselves on such huge levels. Such huge levels. Think about if we were to believe, and I don't have any problem with this, the Big Bang Theory. Pow! Right? Major conflict. Think about how stars are made. Think about how, just look around you. It is all creative tension. It's amazing. And you get to enjoy the peace times in between. Now, let me ask you this question. After conflict, after you've had a conflict, are you the same person? I haven't been. Maybe you are, but I haven't been. I get some ahas, right? I get some some things that I know about that. In the later years, my heart's opened up more. Right? The things that and the people that I thought I couldn't forgive in my life, now I'm just like, wow, it's not even an issue. Right? Forgiving's not an issue. Because I forgive myself. I forgive myself first. And, when you think about the fact that nothing's right and nothing's wrong, everything's an opportunity, it's a whole different framework. Carolyn Mayer did a beautiful, and Terry Ellen did a beautiful circle with us, the Satori Radical Forgiveness Circle, last Sunday. And she read Neil Donald Walsh's The Little Soul. And, the story goes, about forgiveness, and the little soul wants to come and learn forgiveness. But, that's a big thing, because nobody wants to play against the little soul for that. But one friend says, yeah, I'll play, but you're going to have to remember for me. You're going to have to forgive me, because this is such a big deal. I'm going to have to forget who I am while I'm playing against you. I was saying something to someone the other day. I said, they said, well, people who play against us are our teachers. Well, I said, I think there are teachers and there are student teachers. So the ones that give you the one-time lesson, they're a student teacher. The people in your life who are consistent are your master teachers, okay? They're your master teachers. When you stop resisting, then that lesson can be like, whew, that experience can start to go away. But the more we resist, right, it's a metaphysical old saying, the more we resist, the things persist. And that's just the way it is. It's like, look, the invitation is going to come to you over and over and over in your spiritual mail. Here you go. You're invited. You're invited. Want to come? Want to play? Right? It's amazing. Either we believe in the good or we don't. I don't believe in evil. I believe that people do evil things. I think that they do evil things, but I don't believe people are evil. And I don't even know that I would even call it evil. They do things that, we can't understand. Sometimes we can't see the bigger picture. Sometimes it's the deepest invitation to the parts of ourselves that need to heal and need to grow. And when we stop having a story around it, right? When we stop being storytellers, because I was just in my blog, I said, you can choose to have a story because there will be many listeners of stories. Or you could choose to let go of your story and do something that's a little harder. And that's what I call spirit impromptu. Okay? Spirit on the spur of the moment. What if, when you're in conflict next time, you don't have a canned story? What if you don't have the hurt me story? What would that look like? Is that just weird or what, huh? What if you didn't have the hurt me story? It would be amazing. Now, think about this. Elizabeth, come up here for a minute. She's like, oh God. Come here. Okay. So we're going to play act, okay? And you're just going to say some just mean stuff to me. All right? I know. So let's say that I don't know. Let's say that I took your house and I took your car and somehow, I took your job and you still feel in love for me?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you, in a nice way, say something to me that really angers you about someone just recently that may have hurt you?
Say something about that person.
Yeah, you can say to me, you make me so mad because. She's a really good soul. Does someone else want to give it to me?
I'll give it to you.
Get over here.
Your job taking sticky bins.
What's that? All right, so I'm going to give it to you. Okay? All right. So just notice this, okay? You know what? I never have liked the way you have always done these things at work. Every time I give you a task, every time, it's never on time. You always have an excuse. You always say it's your staff. And you know, I'm done believing you. I'm done. You're right. You don't deserve the job. How did that feel?
Like a lie.
Okay, that's really good. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Good. I guess I'm the only mean one in the room. So the point of that is really actually quite profound, because she had no reference to it, right? It didn't feel real for her. It was like words. And that's a space I'm suggesting you get in. It's Charlie Brown's parents, wah, 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 right? The only reason why you're having a flight or fight is because you have a belief that what the person is saying has validity. It's finding a place of hurt within you somewhere. If it didn't have a place of hurt within you, it would be just like that, right? You know, I've seen people on the street, you have two, right, talking to themselves, right? What if you were to go up and stand in front of them? Would they be talking to you? No, they're talking to themselves. That's what it's like in conflict. If you don't take personal ownership of these things, there's no place within you that they can hurt. You can have compassion for people. You do not have to take their pain. That's a very important distinction. You do not need to take on people's pain. You do not need to create a pain body within yourself to take on their pain. Compassion, yes. Right? And they can be convincing. They can look around. The mind is convincing. They'll pick out a little thing right there, spin a little story on it, and then pretty soon you're like, oh God, is that true? Is that true about me? Oh God, right? And pretty soon you're in the script. Stay out of the script. Be the most compassionate individual you can for yourself and them, right? So if you're interested, we have a little time tonight. If you want to share, and you don't need to get into detail, but conflict that's arising for you, and maybe we can help as community, or I can help you work through that tonight. Does that sound like something you would like to do? I'm not seeing any big jumpers or takers. You're all kind of conflict free, huh? You doing pretty good? All right. Bless you.
I don't think I need a mic.
Okay, well, see, I think we're recording, so it won't pick you up unless we have you.
The camera adds 10 pounds. I don't want to do that.
Okay. It's okay. I could stand in front of you. I don't need that story.
My family is dysfunctional to the max. And my sister got my grandma's house, and she took over the cabin in Detroit, and she destroyed everything. So I went in to tell her what a piece of shit she was for doing that. And the only thing she can come back with is, you killed my dad, because I took care of him until his dying day. And I lunged at her, and my daughter said, Mom, don't do it. It's not worth it. But you're right. She got to a point of pain. Did I kill him? Did I give him too much morphine that night? No, I know I didn't. But I let her get to that spot, that core. And she knew that's where she could go to push my buttons. So I don't see her often because I disassociated with them, but I don't know how to let go of that
pain and
the anger,
yeah.
the resentment,
Okay, are you willing to let me try with you?
no. Yes.
Well, I have no conflict with that. So, okay. So if you want to have a seat, I'll try to. Okay, but you may not like what I say. Okay. Yeah.
Karen says they don't have conflict again.
So an interesting thing about this, and I'm going to try to recap this as I heard it, okay? So it was your mom's house or your mom and dad's house?
It was my grandparents' house, my mom's parents' house.
Okay. And your sister got it?
She got it when my grandma died. Yeah.
Because it was in the will to her?
No, because she was just loved and the favorite, so she got the house.
Okay. Right there. Right? It's not, the dad thing is over here. That is your pain body right there. You see? Now, if we were to think about this, I'm going to ask you to just try to open your heart a little because I know you're angry at your sister. But, you know, if you think about her growing up and you think about kids, right? You have kids, right? And you think about them growing up and they're so loved. And one gets more attention than the other. Is that little child's fault? It's not that little child's fault. And as that attention is going more and more, this is how that little child grows into an adult and identifies. Guess how the other children identify, right? Guess what may be your soul thing? I'm not good enough. I'm not loved enough. Maybe I'm not lovable, right?
Oh, no, I'm lovable.
God bless that.
I hear what
You see, you know.
What's wrong with me? Why do
Right.
Why do I get this and choose that?
Right.
What I do with that, right?
And I'm telling you, no matter what it looks like, it's not an unfair universe. It's a universe that's staggered and stacked for our learning pleasure. So, you know, this script has played out for some beautiful deep work. You know, I always say when we get to the other side, you know, the people that have done that in my life, I'd say, oh, you are good, right? You are so convincing, you are so consistent. It's the consistent ones who are our master teachers. The consistent ones. Because here's the thing. If maybe they need to teach us forgiveness, or maybe they need to teach us to love ourselves enough and let go. The moment we let go, that transforms. They no longer need to teach us that, right? And there's no conflict with your sister if one of you isn't angry. Now, the choice would be yours at the moment, right? It's one thing to say, I'd like to let go of the anger. It's another to try to find to do that. I do, Carolyn Mayer is going to do a book reading group here on radical forgiveness. And it is an amazing process. So, you know, or pick up the book Radical Forgiveness. You know, it's a very radical way to forgive, right? Here's what's probably not going to happen. Your sister knocking at your door, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Here's the house. In fact, I'm going to pay for all to be done up, right? And also, by the way, if I didn't tell you, thank you for taking so much good care of Dad. Probably not going to happen. But she has her own lesson, and maybe you're her master teacher, right? But it only takes one of you to not be angry. Thank you. Thank you for the sharing.
And I didn't hate. That's pretty cool.
What's that?
I didn't hate every moment of what you just said.
Woo! Who else? Who else?
If that doesn't work, then you gotta get good at hiding the body.
Go ahead, say that on camera, Don Brown. Okay. Cindy.
You've heard part of the story, but anyway, it's kind of a three-party situation. It's myself, my husband, and his father at the moment. And his father has always been aggressive and treated Lauren poorly. And as he is, he's not that old, he's in his 60s, but he's behaving as if he's much older, and he's behaving as if he's losing track of things. And he's also making assumptions that when he feels like it, he can come over and visit, which is not, he hasn't been invited. And so with each birthday and Christmas, he says, I can be over at such and such a time, and I say to my husband, no, we can meet him at the coast at my convenience, and that way I can protect my time with him. And so he pulled this again. And of course, Lauren says, you're putting me in the middle. And I explained very specifically, I was not putting him in the middle. He had a choice to do whatever he wanted, but my feeling was I can meet him at the coast for a short period of time for a dinner, and that's it. So that has come up repeatedly. And also, Lauren's mother is somehow involved because his dad wants to include her, although they're not together. He says, well, I'll pick her up, and she doesn't want anything to do with him. So, yes, I need help.
Well, Cindy. There's a house up at Detroit. Well, okay, two things right here going on. Number one is a passive-aggressive parent, right? And the other is, a spousal need, or what spouses may think they need, right? Being really clear, spouses do not need their spouse to like their parents. All right? Spouses do not need their spouse to go with them to a parent should they choose not to, right? It's the agreement. I mean, and every marriage has a different agreement, but it's about space, right? On Sunday, I was talking about, awakened individuals in a relationship. Awakened individuals allow people or each other space. But they were talking about Buddha, and they said, well, imagine if you were married to Buddha. You're like, oh, pretty soon Buddha would get on your nerves. Why is he over there meditating all the time, right? That sort of thing. We have a story. Yeah, why don't he clean up his mess, right? Well, yeah. So it's about, we have a story as spouses. And so there's two different things going on there, right? There's really two different things. And so, really what it comes down to is that you probably need to find a way for yourself to just say, no. I mean, if you don't like this man, why are you going over to the coast? Right? I mean, what are you doing here? Yeah, but I mean, your husband's relationship with his dad is his business. It's not your business. So who cares if he comes to the house or to the coast? If he wants to come to the house, well then, I say time to go to, Bend or something, right? See you later. Right?
Tell your husband your dad's welcome to come over and visit you.
Yeah. I choose not to is very good. Now, that's not avoiding conflict. That's being very clear that's setting boundaries. Healthy boundaries. I do not want to be in a passive-aggressive relationship. Okay, good. However, I'm not going to judge it, right? Because that's insanity. He is being passive-aggressive, and wanting him to be different is just insane, right? Yeah, he's constant, consistent. Yay, yay, dad. Yay, hubby's dad. Yeah. So, but not my teacher today. Maybe your husband's teacher, but it doesn't have to be your teacher. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
You guys were talking about family, and I completely forgot about my family until you said master teachers. And I realized, I was like, oh, wait, they are my master teachers. And I love my family very, very much. There's nothing in life that can get closer than that blood connection you have. But I don't talk to them. And there's a reason why. Because if I do, they suck me into the drama. They pull me into scams, whatever's going on, any kind of conflict, always calling my phone, this person did this, and this person did that, and they did this. I don't want to hear that. I don't want that in my life. I have enough of my own to deal with. I got my wife, my children, I got a job that's fun. I got another job on top of that I'm trying to go. I don't have time for that. I have time for love. And I told my family, I was like, you guys want to talk about love? You want to talk about good stuff? Call me anytime you want to. Mom, you want to talk about good things? You want to talk on birthdays? Talk about the good things that happen in your life? Call me. I'm here for you. But I'm not here for you to dump on. You have friends, and call your friends, call your buddies. Go out with your girls, get some coffee. But it's not me, and it doesn't have to be me. And you're talking about getting into scripts. And there's this thing, I don't know if you guys remember Saddam Hussein. Well, after he was executed, okay? And after his hanging, the video went all over the internet. There was a spike increase in young boys committing suicide by hanging. So as human beings, just think about it. Small children are impressionable. Do we ever really grow up? No. Even as adults, we're impressionable. So, the evidence right there that all these boys would see the video of someone hanging themselves and then would go out and reenact this. As adults, we see people on television, and everything else. Other people, they have their fights and they react this way. Oh, I have to react that way too. Sometimes we can't be original with our own thoughts and ideas. But we are beautiful, unique creatures. Yet sometimes we don't act beautiful and unique, because of these scripts and this thing that we get stuck into. That the thing about master teachers, you are so right about that. That is, I am so grateful for my family, and I love them so much for being my master teachers. But I don't have to talk to them, because a friend of mine once shared some advice with me, and she said, whatever's on your plate and doesn't serve you, get it off. I'm a vegetarian. I got off all the meat and everything that I wasn't. But why couldn't I do that in my real life? If you giving up bacon, that's hard. But think about it. If I can give up bacon, I can give up that stress and drama. I can give up being part of that. Thank you.
I don't see any conflict in there, though.
Oh, but there wasn't there? With social media, the teachers become more intense, right? Because there's the Facebook thing, there's the presence on Facebook, there's the, oh God, I'm going to unfriend you sort of thing. It's gotten to a very weird place where that social media is replacing communication. If you want to unfriend me, say it, right? It's a very interesting thing to do. Emails. If you are getting emails or text from people who are really bugging you, here's just a thought. You don't have to read them, right? You don't have to read them. Or you can wait until you're in a space that's good for you.
You don't have to listen to voicemail.
Yeah, God, you don't have to listen to voicemail. It makes it a little harder when you have families and maybe you're, with kids and things like that. But, you can still set boundaries. You can still set boundaries. And when you're real clear about your boundaries and you're very consistent, over and over and over, one of you is going to wear down. It won't be... It doesn't have to be you, right? And I'm just going to share this one more time because I've shared this before on Wednesday evenings and Sunday services. It is a very difficult thing to do, but it is a Hindu practice and it is very beautiful. And that is, whoever the person is or the situation is, lay flowers at their feet. Over and over and over. Lay flowers at their feet. Now, in true Hindu practice, you see yourself bowing down at their feet too. So that's a little bit harder for Americans sometimes to do. But, if you do that, the divinity in you is bowing down to the divinity in them, because it's not their divine self that is acting like this. Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes. Well, see? All right. That's your namesake. Yeah, and I was just looking up Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian practice of forgiveness. Basically, I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, thank you. There's all different variations of it. But if you look it up, and I want to say the guy's name is something Hugh Lin, Hewlen. But he actually learned it from a woman and she's gone now, and I can't remember her name. I think it's Morna, Morrna, because there's something out there called Morna's Prayer. And then she had a foundation, which I still think is going, called something like Self-Identity. And so I may be a little off on that. But if you get a chance, look those things up, because, and there's some very good videos out there with Dr. Hugh Lin. And he goes through the process. He talks about this one mom talking to him and asking him to help her son, because her son was having a very hard time in school. This one teacher was on him all the time. And he just felt very stressed out. So the doctor sat down with him and taught him about Ho'oponopono, and just told him to keep doing Ho'oponopono. And so pretty soon he sees the boy. He says, "How's it going?" And he goes, "I'm invisible." He says, "The teacher doesn't pick on me anymore." Right? So it's an energetic thing. It's an energetic thing. This doctor, by the way, if you're not familiar with the story, it's an amazing story. He was a administrator for one of the worst psychiatric hospitals in Hawaii. And he went in there, and he didn't see the patients. The patients were terrible, in all different degrees. I mean, very, very scary for the staff. The staff were sick half the time, didn't want to come in. It was a very, very sad situation. And so the doctor sat down, and he just held the files. And the files had the name, and it had everything about the person. And he's looking at it, and what he's doing Ho'oponopono on is the fact that he believes, or at any level, that he believes that story about this person. Because if we are the creator, right, what we believe we help to create. This is powerful because, we talk about being one in individuated form. So if we are truly one, which I believe, then this one can believe the truth about the other person. And he did that. He's like, I'm sorry that I believed any of this about you. I'm sorry, and I love you, and thank you. So, pretty soon, things started changing. The ones who were shackled now were walking around. Staff loved to come in. Things were going good. People who were never supposed to be released got released, so much that they had to shut that hospital down. That's an amazing and true story. So if you are having conflict with someone in your life, try doing Ho'oponopono. Whatever the appearance is about them, say, I'm sorry that I believe that. I'm sorry that I believe that about my sister. I'm sorry, and I love you, and thank you. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, well, maybe and maybe not, right? Maybe not, because as we do this, our heart softens, and we become different people. We open up to ourselves. And, and at some point, we have to forgive ourselves for being so angry because of all the pain it caused us, right? It's always that personal pain that it causes us. I know it's a radical approach to forgiveness. It's a radical approach to conflict. It's the approach of love.
That's right. If you think that's right, do you think it would work in Washington, D.C.?
I do.
Good. Let's try that.
I do, but here's the thing I'm going to posit to you, okay? It's not like a murder or something like that. When we take a look at things that are political, we say, well, this person, they're wrong because I'm right. But there's a lot of people who are voting for those people, even if you're not. You see, so it's not about, it's about, are we coming from the heart? Are we coming from the heart? It's not about changing other people. It's about changing ourselves. Yeah. All right. So let's take a nice deep breath and end with a beautiful chant. Let's take a nice deep breath. Leave you with one thought. I can't remember the word that was said from the guy who killed Gandhi. But there was a word he said, and it has a meaning. I can't remember whether it's around forgiveness or what. But, he believed in what he thought he had to do. And so as he killed Gandhi, he said the word. But here's what's important. As Gandhi died, he said the word back to him, so that the man would know he was forgiven. Whatever's happening in your life, around situations, around people, let your last breath on a situation be a forgiving one. It's really the only way to walk in the world, to have any peace, and to give any peace to your brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining us tonight, for being so brave and sharing your stories and your open hearts. Namaste.